Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herman, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you can get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is Carl-Edwin Rigaud, who is a senior analyst at Ally Financial. Carl, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on. Looking forward to obviously diving into your journey. I know that there's going to be some stuff you're going to be sharing with us this evening. But before we get into all of those amazing things that you've been doing, working at your company and your life and your journey, could you just give us a little bit of a background on your cultural background, but also where you were born and raised?
So cultural background slash born and raised. I was born and raised here, or actually I was born here in America, but only for like 3, 4 months for medical reasons. Um, Me and my twin brother Mark, which you'll be interviewing in a few weeks, we were born prematurely at 6 months. So the whole reason we were born here is because the doctors told my mom in Haiti that if she tried to give birth there because of her current condition, it wasn't likely we were gonna make it. So she flew here and then gave birth to us. So we were here for like 3-ish months, I think, because we had to be in the NICU for like a whole month so they could make sure we wouldn't die. But fully raised in Haiti up until 2013, which is when we moved here for college slash senior year of high school. So basically, I'm Haitian in all but nationality.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, first off, blessings to you and your
Thank you.
twin brother. And that stuff like that. And I can imagine how much stress that caused on the family at that
Yeah.
time. Like just wondering, like, hey, look, and it's to know that a doctor from, a distant country is saying, look, you got to come here. And you got to find the income, the finance.
Yeah.
Did your mom have someone here?
Yeah, we had a few family members.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, so she stayed
That
with
helps.
a an aunt in New York. That's where I was born in
Okay.
New York. So yeah.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
helped for
Well,
sure, yeah.
now what part of New York?
Queens.
Oh, you repping Queens right now. Okay, I'm from the Bronx. Yeah, gotta find out where my people from, right? But Queens is still good. So shout out to Queens. Shout out to
Thank
Queens.
you.
But obviously, like you said, you was born in Queens, but then you went back to Haiti when you were
A few months ago, yeah.
cleared, in a sense.
Yeah.
Now, talk to us a little bit more about your childhood.
Yeah,
Um,
so raised in Haiti my entire life. Culturally, it's just Haitian culture is very much um you wake up every day and you do what you got to do. So as a kid, obviously, it was just wake up and go to school, study, get good grades. That was very important in a Haitian household. You had to get the best grade you could. Um, be respectful, respect your elders, respect your peers, don't be a troublemaker. That was how I was raised basically up until the Haiti earthquake in 2010, which is when I came here briefly for middle school because my mom was like, even if there's an earthquake and national emergency, you're still gonna get your education. So that's the first time I actually got an American education, which is basically how it led to me being here since it was a whole thing of, oh, the American system is like so easy, and then that's how we came back for senior year and then college, and basically that was the starting point of my journey to working in corporate America.
it's a lot of the guests that have come on and talked about like the Haitian culture, right? And about the natural disaster, but they're like, you got to go to school, you got to get your education. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine like the earthquake coming in and mom and dad like, yo, you got to go to school. Um, but the fact of a lot of guests have said on this show that when they came to America, the education was a lot easier. As you just said right there.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell us that it was the schooling in Haiti was a lot more advanced than what it here is in the States.
I mean, yeah, I guess the best way of putting it is because in Haiti, I went to private school, or the Haitian version of private school. It was based on the French system, and when I came here in the public school system, it was basically without even trying, I was just getting like 99s and hundreds and all A's. And it's not that I wasn't learning; it's just that to me the material was so easy that I'd breeze through whatever I was doing. So compared
Mm,
to I guess before the American system, when I was in Haiti, I'd get like B's and C's, not because I
mm,
was, not trying, but I guess just the material was harder to grasp based on how they were teaching it for some reason. So,
mhm, mhm, mhm. And what were like some of the best memories growing up in Haiti? You know,
Oh,
obviously in your childhood, you got a twin brother. Shout out to your
yes.
twin. I'm looking forward to interviewing him in the next couple of days, weeks. But like, what? And also, what were like some of the challenges you face?
Okay, best memories in Haiti was just, I guess, celebrations, right? Haitian culture is very big on celebrations. Like we celebrate normal events, but also any big life events like, communions, parties for like, carnival, any kind of like joyous occasion is a cause for celebration. So just there's an energy that takes over whenever people are in a celebratory mode in Haiti. So my favorite memories are basically any kind of celebration where I'd be with my family, my friends, and we'd get to just, celebrate being alive in whatever occasion leads to that. So those are my favorite memories. Challenges growing up in Haiti, like we can see from the recent news, right? A lot of insecurity that would happen a lot.
Mhm.
A lot of dare I say, a lot of not traumatizing, but a lot of days where you're like, it's kind of crazy we're living through this in Haiti. Even going to school after I came back from the earthquake, like one of my classmates got kidnapped for like 2 weeks, right? So like the whole school basically, there was like a
Whoa.
dark mood, right? Yeah, thankfully, thank God she was safe or whatever, but imagine you just come to school one day and you find out someone you're close to just, disappeared in the middle of the night, right? So yeah, it can get kind of crazy for sure.
You're not talking about video games. You're not talking about Fortnite. You're talking about look, someone just got kidnapped.
Yeah, like we came to school and they pulled everyone into an assembly and because she was like one of the nicest girls in the school and popular, so everyone knew her, right? Even if you weren't friends with her, you were friendly with her. And then just, they sit us all down like the entire high school, so like ninth to 12th grade, and they just tell everyone, yeah, she got kidnapped last night. So pray for her. And you're just sitting there like, damn, that's someone I knew that's gone, right? And obviously at that time we didn't know if she'd come back, right? So it took
Yeah.
like 2 weeks for her to be released. But that's it's not something you want to deal with, at 13, 14, 15 years old. So
Yeesh. That's
yeah.
that's a whole different level of stress.
Yeah.
Forget a midterm and a final, and that I can only imagine the amount of trauma that caused. Like a student is saying, we're not just dealing with like the normal day to day stress. We're dealing with people talking about they're gonna kidnap us. Like that's a whole
Yeah.
different era, a whole different energy that you just sometimes can't really like wrap your finger around and be like, all right, how do I get past this?
Yeah.
When that happened, just speaking about that right there, how did you mentally put yourself back in the school, like back in school mode? Like just thinking about that, like that's someone right? You know her.
Yeah. I think I think the best way to put it is I just basically not ignored it, but I knew I couldn't do anything, right? So I was like, I gotta keep it. So I don't focus on it. I just focused on the school, right? It was basically like a distraction. So Um, because obviously the first day no one worked or anything, right? Everybody was just distraught, people were crying, all that stuff. But the teachers themselves also encouraged us to, focus on the school and pray and just, hope that she comes home safely, which is what we did, obviously. And afterwards, after a few days, we started doing stuff like my class specifically, because she was in our class, we started doing stuff like fundraisers and stuff like that to try and donation drives to basically, if it came to it, we could give her parents the money to help whatever ransom she could get, right? So basically we just got down to whatever we could do to help in any way we could.
And that's that culture right there you're talking about. That
Yeah,
community, right?
exactly.
Celebrating. Like she just came home. Like let's all find a way to not just say congratulations, you're back home, but let's also think of other ways to kind of help out her family. So kudos to you and your classmates on that. What were
Thank
like some of the insecurities that you had to deal with? You mentioned that word a little bit earlier in this conversation, but like what are some of the insecurities you dealt with growing up?
you. It was mainly safety insecurities. Like some days you'd hear protests are happening, so it's like it'll be a thing of my mom deciding, do I send my kids to school? Do I risk it? Do I
Wow.
do I, it'd be depending on why it's happening and also where. So it's like, do I send him to school, but they take a different route to school? Do I risk it? Do I keep him home and just wait a few days to see if things calm down? Stuff like that. And even as a kid, right, you don't really process how serious it is. You just hear it's happening and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. But like now thinking back on it, it's like, well, that could have been the day we got kidnapped. That could have been a day where people were just, um, the country went, upside down and people were like stuck outside of the house, stuff like that. I remember one time in elementary school, I was like first or second grade, where like the whole school was locked down because they were protesting right outside. and it's like just you're sitting in the classroom hunkered down on the floor with everyone else, and you're just like, it felt normal, right? It was like any other day. It's like, I guess it's happening now, but as an adult today, especially, with everything going on, it's like that shouldn't be something a kid is used to or whatever, right? So
Yeah, that's like
yeah,
and it's sad that here in the States, like some people would never know that that actually exists
yeah,
unless they obviously are listening to this podcast or know individuals like yourself that have gone through that type of stuff.
mhm,
It's we take for granted what we have in front of us sometimes. Like
agreed.
knowing that you have a safe space, you walk. Not saying that there's not crazy stuff that happens here in the States,
Yeah,
but you're talking about
different stuff. Yeah,
yeah, different stuff. You're talking about kids getting kidnapped and versus just gangs. It's a whole different ball game. But it's obviously no matter where we go in life, these things are obviously popping up.
yeah.
But when it comes down, let's just kind of like switch that around now. Let's talk about your education, right?
Mhm.
I know you said you came here to the States, you studied, you went back home, and you came here to go to college. Like, talk about your studies and in college as well, and talk about like that major.
Yeah, so mainly it was in the French system, like I said, up until the Haiti earthquake. So the 6 months after it, so from like end of January to June, when I came here, I was in the American system, so the English system. And when my mom saw how well me and my twin brother were flourishing, and unbeknownst to us, we had already learned English growing up while watching TV. So it was basically there was no acclimation period. We got there, they made us take, that ESL test, English as a
Yep,
second
yeah,
language.
yep.
And then when we passed it so well that the counselor said she was surprised we even um passed, let alone that we aced the test, because she said she was honestly surprised that we had better English comprehension than most of the kids at the school currently. So
Dang,
yeah, so somehow we learned
dang,
English growing up
dang.
without realizing it. And then when we came back to Haiti, my mom got us. There are a few private schools in Haiti that operate out of the American system, so they're like incorporated through Florida or other states. So we got enrolled into those and did the first 3 years of high school, so freshman to junior year, and came here for senior year. And then I went to Florida Polytechnic University, which is the latest state university for Florida, and my major was computer science.
Wow. Did you notice you wanted to always major in computer science? Was that something that just came up?
It came up basically in that when I was looking at all the majors when I was doing the initial application, the one that seemed more interesting to me was computer science, just because I was always intrigued into how computers worked and technology and stuff like that. So I was like, might as well, get a degree in it, which thankfully I'm really happy that I made that choice. But
Okay. And
yeah,
you said Florida Polytech University?
yeah, Florida
Oh,
Polytechnic University. It's
got you.
the
Now,
latest one in Lakeland.
and when you went there, talk to us about mentors and about like that life after graduation. I know a lot of the guests that have been on the show, they talked about in college is when they start to realize that they needed to kind of find a mentor, find someone to kind of help them navigate through college. Then after college, obviously they talked about like their journey and how whether it was hard or whether it was fairly easy.
I'll say that Florida Polytechnic was very unique for that situation in that it was it was the inaugural year that I joined. So basically the first year that the university opened was the first year I joined, 2014. So I was part of their first class. So mentor wise, that wasn't really a thing in that it's not an established university. There were no alumni to connect to reach out to. A lot of it we had to do on our own. So the school did its best, right? Because they had obviously been planning that, but it wasn't like the same as if I went to USF, which is one of the schools I was considering, right? There was no alumni to reach out to, no societies, no network rings, right? We had to basically build everything from the ground up. So I got through a lot of it myself. Obviously, I had my peers and stuff like that, but I
Yeah.
would say there weren't really any mentors to
Mm.
reach out to in terms of like careers and stuff like that.
And
In the
and what
same sense, yeah.
and obviously you have graduated from the school now, so you're now at that mentor, you're now that alumni.
Hmm.
Um, when you're talking about your after graduation, like how is life after that? How was life after graduation?
Um, I think compared to others, I think I got a degree pretty quickly. I graduated May 2014, or not a degree, I mean a career pretty quickly. I graduated May 2014 and I was employed by September, and my first day was in October 1st, I think, of 2018. So obviously it wasn't immediately after like some of the other people that graduated, like my peers. I had one person I knew was already employed because he had done an internship that turned into a job. So
Mhm.
as soon as he graduated, it basically became a full-time job. And my twin brother himself, he started in July, I think. So not
Same
as
company.
that. No, he started
Oh,
somewhere else. Yeah, it took a minute before we worked at the same company, but he started somewhere else. But I know for Poly, one of the things that a lot of people are praising about the university is that it has one of the highest conversion rates for graduates in terms of like starting a career after you get your degree. And even for me, even if I wasn't as fast as some people I personally knew, I think it was pretty fast to, within 6 months, it was less than 6 months, I was already working at a full-time job as a software engineer at
mhm.
FedEx, actually. So
That also goes to your work ethic as well.
yeah, yeah,
Now, the question now is your brother the same way?
yeah. We were
Okay,
pretty, yeah.
cool. Because sometimes when it comes to twins, one person does something a little bit better than the next, and it causes that ripple within the whole family.
Nah, I think we're pretty good at pushing each other and, doing our best and overachieving. So I think we're pretty level set on that.
Now, and we talk about on the show blueprint, like finding the
Mhm.
blueprint, right? How did you find your blueprint to be successful?
I don't think I found the blueprint so much as my upbringing basically molded my blueprint in that from a young age, my mom was always like, do your best, don't slack, push yourself, give your best effort the first time so you don't have to try again, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it definitely shaped my career in that from the minute I started my first job, my first corporate job, I should say, I never basically I never do things by halves. If I get something assigned to me or I get a project or anything like that, I always do the most I can with the time I have. So basically put my best foot forward, apply myself, give it my best effort, and basically succeed, right? So the blueprint is, give it your best effort, do what you gotta do it right, and the success will follow. And I guess that is my personal blueprint as well because that's never failed me. If I do what I gotta do and I do it right, and I don't slack, I don't do it by halves. I don't see failure as an option just because it's impossible to fail if you do it like that.
Yeah, you got to walk in saying that you're going to achieve something. You can't be walking
Exactly.
in doubting it, especially when you're working at something for the first time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, as a Haitian American, like established, like looking at like some of your role models as a youth, like who like you mentioned obviously your parents, but any other role models that you had?
I it's family mate basically, right? So those are the people that you interact with the most as a kid growing up. So it was just basically my family members, aunts, uncles, grandparents. For me, I feel blessed in that everyone in my family, um, they're all overachievers, right? I have an aunt that's a doctor, pediatrician, has opened, multiple clinics in Haiti, runs hospitals, stuff like that. My mom, no matter where she's working, she's always, quickly promoted and stuff like that, basically because people recognize her work, her effort. It's not hard for her to find positions at the top wherever she works because people recognize the talent, right? So it's basically if I see that day in and day out, to me it's like, oh, everyone in my family can do super hard jobs and stuff like that. So it's like, you know I don't see any other possible path, right? That just
Mm-hmm.
whatever I work at, I just I excel because that's what I've seen growing up in all facets of my family from my aunts, uncles, cousins, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm. And now, when we talk about that role model, like thinking about those individuals, now you're a role model, being a Haitian American. Like, how do you feel to hold that title as a role model? And like, what is like one of the most valuable qualities that you possess that you bring to your career?
as my feelings as a role model, I think it's something to be proud of, but also something to constantly refine because, like you said, right, this whole podcast, or not podcast, but this whole interview is basically to show people a path forward. And it's very important, especially for us, Haitian Americans or, Black African Americans, wherever. There's a lot of distractions in the world, so it's very hard to,
True.
it's very hard to see where you need to go in life. unless you see someone walk that path, even if it's not the same path as yours, a similar path that you can, kind of pick pieces from to shape yours. So definitely, I think it's very good for me as well, to not only have role models, but be a role model, because you don't realize the difference you make until someone else can see what you've done and try and follow in your footsteps. And you're
Yep.
like, oh, I'm changing someone's lives just by, pursuing mine and showing them that there's more options available than just the stuff around them, right?
Mhm.
If you had told me 10, 20, or 10, 15 years ago while I was still in Haiti that this is where I'd be today, working the career I'm working, stuff like that, I'd be like, oh, that's crazy. I don't see how I'd get there, but obviously I did, right? Because I'm here right now. But obviously, if I had myself as a role model back then, I might have, if I had followed that, I might be even further today than where I am right now, which, I can't even envision that, right? So I don't
Mhm.
even know what the next level is yet, but I'd be like probably further ahead because I would have followed the path I just followed with more steps added. So it's like definitely a very good thing to have role models, but also be one for others, because you never know what kind of difference you're making in someone's life.
That is big. That is big. A lot of the guests on the show have talked about now they're in a position of leadership where they can actually contribute to other people's
Hmm.
success. Because when they came here, they didn't really have enough guidance. They had to go look for it. So now they're at a place right now where they're actually a part of those active teams, helping to be those active role models for those individuals, whether it be for first or second generation immigrants, but
Hmm.
mainly for the culture of the community in regards to their office. So you're right. I think one of the biggest jobs and roles that we have as individuals in this world today, humans, is to inspire somebody else to live a better life.
Amen. Yep.
So we might work 9 to 5 or nine to nine or be an entrepreneur and work every single hour, but one of the biggest parts, biggest job that we all have, a responsibility, and that's to inspire. You know, I like that. I like that. Now, after your education, what was your first like role? Right, graduated from college, graduated from the university. Like, what was the first role, and like, where did you work, and learn, and what were some of like those life lessons you learned on that journey right after college?
Okay. First role was at FedEx, so the shipping company, and it was I was working at the Orlando office while living in Lakeland. So I learned, what did I learn at FedEx? I learned perseverance, right? Because obviously it was my first job, so no foundation. Like, all I learned in college was actually just, small time skills, the
Yeah,
classes and stuff like that. So now I had to actually apply the knowledge. I had to learn the knowledge. I had to learn the corporate knowledge while applying my, college knowledge, merge everything together, deliver on the projects, right? Cooperate in teams, right? You did small time projects in school, like, 4 people to a group. Now it's, whole departments, stuff like that. And this has real world impacts, right? Because,
yeah,
that's where I was working on their flagship product, which is basically, it was like the system for like finding the addresses, calculating the rates, if you're shipping, delivering, all that stuff. So that was like money involved, right? So a little bit of pressure, but definitely
okay.
I feel like it was a growth opportunity for me to dive in and be immersed in the corporate world of just, applying that knowledge and building my career from the ground up.
And FedEx is, somewhat of a good company. I mean, I don't know too much about working at FedEx, but the individuals I do know that do work at FedEx, they say like, it's a great company to build your way up. You can learn a lot.
It is. Yep. Agreed.
Okay, so we're seeing eye to eye on that. Like, what was some of the talking about it now? I'm thinking about back to like one of those top questions. Your twin, was your twin at FedEx too?
No. So we've Ally is actually the second time we've worked together at the same company. So
Mm,
my first job was at FedEx, and Mark will tell you his first job was at Cognizant, which he was working as a QA analyst at the time. Now I think he has the same job title as me at Ally. I forget because it's, on the spot, but I think he has the same title as me now. But he was a QA analyst at Cognizant, and he switched to a company called FIS, which is a fintech company. So they basically build software for banks. So
yep.
they're not a bank themselves, but they sell banking software to banks. And when I was ready to leave FedEx, he actually recommended me to his manager at the time and told her, Carl's my twin. He's just as good, if not better than me. So she was like, I get 2 of you guys. So that's how, I got the job. And then that was the first time we worked together. at
Okay.
a company, and then a few more switcheroos, and now we're both at Ally, which this time I pulled him. So, you know,
Mhm. And
we're keeping each other employed. But yeah, so
I know you kind of gave one of the benefits just a while ago. Like you said, you just got the job. Like, could you talk to us a little bit more about some of the benefits about having a twin brother and working together in the same company? How is that dynamics?
so there's plenty, obviously, siblings and all that, but as a twin, I feel like twins have a special relationship whenever they do get along, right? So even if
Okay,
even
disclaimer. Disclaimer. I
if
like that. I like that.
yeah, but I feel like benefits, there's those social benefits of, you already know someone at the company, right? So even if, you don't talk to anyone else, there's someone you can talk to about your day or event. Um, Other benefits, riding to work together, right? We used to do that.
Save gas. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
got
but
you.
from just the job aspect, even if because we've never worked on the same projects, we've always been on different projects, different teams, but there's just that other perspective. Whenever we'd get stuck at work, we could talk to each other about whatever issues we're running into. And even if we didn't know what the other person's project was, just having someone to bounce ideas off of, right? Especially
That's
because
important.
as a twin, the minds are already so alike. We've
And they
helped each
know
other.
you.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we've always helped each other figure out a bunch of issues just by either by listening or just commenting whenever we hear something about a project. And that's invaluable in that, you have someone that's not exactly a coworker, but someone that gets you and knows you that you can bounce ideas off of, or just discuss your problems and then have feedback from it quickly, right? Because there's that comfortability because you're twins versus just a coworker that you know. So lots of benefits to working together, which I'm
that's
grateful
nice.
for. Yeah.
I don't have a twin brother, but if I did, I would hope they would be like just like Mark, you said. Like
Yes.
wait, bouncing each other, bouncing ideas off each other, and just working in the same company. I think that's beautiful. I mean, I could assume that the family loved it. They're like, oh wow, look, they're still together. They're still together. They're twins. They're rocking.
Right? Yeah. It's
That-
like it's good to know
That's
that they
hot.
have each other's back. Yeah.
That's hot. That's hot. Especially when you are, walking into an environment where you might not see people that look like you,
Yeah.
that speak the same language as you, dress like you, probably not come from the same culture as you. So it's good to have someone that in that office, within the next cubicle over, or in the next department over that, kind of looks like you and speaks like you. I know a lot of the guests previously had spoken about that, like walking into a meeting and feeling alone,
Yeah.
feeling like they
I
couldn't speak up and say something because they felt like they just didn't have a right to be in the room. But if you got someone as a partner in crime, your twin, or Batman and Robin over here, it's like, hey, we're walking in, we're gonna tell them this.
Yeah, I mean, and again, speaking of advantages, like another advantage, Mark, when he started after me. He joined as part of this, or he got put into this mentorship program, and his mentor is actually a manager level African American lady, and he was able to get me into a mentorship relationship with her as well. So now, we have one more person that we can reach out to and speak to that has a similar perspective to us, even if she's not, similar to us in the Haitian aspect, right?
True.
She's a corporate America. She has the same understanding, like you were saying, of, I walk into a room and I don't see anyone that looks like me. And now, she can in turn be a mentor for people that look like her. So that's what she's doing for us. So that's a benefit of like I got to meet her through Mark because he met her first. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Could you speak about your current role? Like, let's talk about that. Let's dive into like your current role right now, and
Okay.
what are some of the responsibilities you have?
So current role, like I said at the beginning, I'm a senior analyst at Ally. I work we're in the auto department, so like auto loans.
Yep.
My role responsibilities is it's very not visible in that if I'm doing my job right, you won't tell I'm here because I'm responsible for like updating the rates. So like for like all the states when we're
Okay.
doing because when they're doing loans, all the dealerships are like submitting loans to Ally. I manage the data that allows us to basically, if we say no, we don't want to do a deal on a loan, we can offer alternatives. So I manage the data that allows the system to
Find the
compute and bounce
best.
back, yeah, compute and bounce back alternatives so that it's still beneficial for the bank and the dealership still gets to make a contract. So obviously, it's very time sensitive, very high damage if done wrong. So it's a lot of pressure whenever they come in because we usually get like 2 days to do it, 2 days
Oh
ahead of
no,
time.
no,
Yeah,
no,
but
no.
that's how serious it is. It's like, oh, in 2 days, all of these rates have to change to something new. So it's like if I do it right, no one knows about it. If I mess up, we're talking like director level people are like, what the heck is going on? Right. So it's a very fulfilling job though. Like there's a lot of opportunity for growth, but for my role specifically, we have a lot of opportunities to code, to on top of the stuff I was saying with the rates, but to code, to do improvements, to basically customer experience stuff in that, we're trying to make the system more efficient and stuff like that. So it's a lot of small pieces that add up to like a fun day-to-day job.
And Ally obviously does a lot of work across the world, in many other countries and stuff. I'm just like, how does your immigrant background help you to work with clients or partners who don't live in the U.S.?
So I have a lot of teammates that are global. So immigrant background, it definitely helps to, you work with people that, like you said, aren't, the default when you walk into a room. So it's like you already have a similar
Yep,
mindset.
yep.
It helps you understand, cross over the language barrier. If you have to communicate, we're all communicating in English, right? But obviously we have different approaches to it. Like I speak English with like, a Haitian mindset. People speak English with, Indian, Pakistani, European mindset. So it's basically
Yep.
understanding that you're an other in the default allows you to be more, I guess, accommodating in how you interact with other people, which helps the whole team flow better, I think.
True, 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 true. Okay. Um, I think that's got to be like a big, massive task. Like that you said, collecting all that data and being able to put it. How do you deal with so much pressure? Like you said, 2 days, right? So a lot of our listeners that are trying to incline up that ladder need to know that as you go further up, more responsibilities. More
Mhm.
responsibilities mean there's a little bit more deadlines, more time consuming stuff. How do you deal with that much amount of pressure and still be able to perform?
I think obviously having a good way of decompressing after work, right? Because you can't carry that stress with you after, you close your computer and stuff like that. But in the moment, you have to trust that you have the foundation, the steps, though you put in the reps to do the work, right? You got there for a reason. You have to trust that you did that. You have to trust in yourself. I've had a few stressful days where it's like, everything is converging, all the pressure is building. But something that gets me through it is I always remember, right? I've done it before. I've gone through tough
Mm,
times before, right? It's like
mm,
I'm not gonna let myself fail now, right? So if anything,
that's
if
good.
nothing else, remember that you got yourself to where you are and you can get yourself through whatever you're going through.
Mhm,
If there's one thing I want to leave anyone that listens to this part with, remember you did it before and remember you're gonna do it again, right? You're always gonna get through it. You're gonna persevere. You're gonna make it through, no matter how tough it seems in the moment. And honestly, that's today. If I ran into a similar, like there was one time I had like 5 different data updates I had to do at the same time because they all flew in during the same week, and it was super stressful during that week. And I was like, I'm never gonna do it. It's all over, right? But after that week was over, I was like, I made it through, and now I won't panic again, right? It's obviously scary the first time you run into something super stressful, but you just gotta trust yourself to make it through.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, to the listeners listening in, right? Obviously, we're talking about that immigrant background. You know, let's talk about individuals trying to get into that engineering uh, field,
Mhm.
right? And also like the finance industry, right? What piece of advice would you give to them?
I think the most applicable piece of advice for anyone trying to get into either engineering or specifically finance is don't be afraid to learn, right? So a lot of specifically computer science and stuff like that, there's certifications out there, classes, courses, workshop. A lot of people, myself included, for like some of the certifications I'm still currently seeking, it seems daunting to try and look into it, to research, to even get started on learning, like YouTube videos, stuff like that. But just don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to admit that you need to learn, right? Um, if you're open to learning, open to growth, the opportunities will present themselves. Um, but also specifically from an immigrant perspective, you're already competing with everyone else. So just give it your best and just, you're not gonna rarely get the first yes from the first place you apply, but persevere, right? Keep applying. And while you keep applying to places, specifically if you want to get into finance or um, engineering, which we know historically have been predominantly, you know, standard jobs where others aren't, we're just now starting to fill up the gaps and the numbers. So you're gonna have to fight to get in, but don't be afraid of a fight. Give it your best shot, study, learn, apply yourself, and then just persevere.
Yeah. Not to quit, not to quit on yourself. And sometimes you
Don't
can't quit
quit.
on yourself before you even start and before you
Exactly.
even ask for help,
Yeah.
right?
Don't
Because
don't give up the fight before it starts.
yeah. No. You got to have that resilience like the Haitian community.
Exactly.
That's, he's like, yes, exactly. That's right. Shout out to the culture. Shout out to the culture. Now, with your intensive background within education and also within corporate America, right? Let's talk about um, those international students, those immigrant professionals. Like, how could those colleges and the colleges, universities, and also like those corporate environments retain those international students and immigrant professionals? What could they do? Because
I think
people come here and then they're all about it, but then they feel like they're alone. They feel like they don't
Mhm.
have a voice. They feel like they have the imposter syndrome. And then before you know it, they check out. They leave out of that. And like you said, the fight, right? How
Yeah.
could they help on their end to retain those individuals?
I think the number one thing, colleges and corporations can do to retain international/slash immigrant individuals is give them community, right? Don't make them feel like we've used that word a lot this entire interview, but don't make them feel like they're othered, right? Give them a community, give them a relationship, make them feel like they're part of the college, part of the community, part of the corporation, right? The worst thing you can say, everyone, you've gone through school, you've seen kids, whether it was you or someone else you knew, you've seen people have um that have been isolated, right? And that's basically the number one reason I think people give up the fight. It's isolation, right? If you're going to work and you feel like you're the only person with any relatable experience, right? And that basically it's you versus everyone else, or you by yourself versus and everyone else is over there. It's gonna feel like you're not welcome, right? So
Yeah.
I guess another way of wording it is make them feel welcome, make people feel welcome. If you want them to stay, make them feel welcome.
That's easier said than done. Some
For sure.
corporations, some businesses, and if you don't know how to communicate, right,
Mm,
or ways of communicating, it makes it even harder. You know,
yeah.
um, but interviews like this hopefully will inspire our listeners to take those steps that they need to take, but
Mhm.
also those corporations and universities to step their game up when it comes time to something like this.
Mhm.
Mm. Now, I wanted to ask you before, like, how did you develop that passion for like the financial technology?
I think it just came to me, honestly. I know some people say they knew since they were a kid or something like that, but to me, it just as I did the work, right, I applied to the jobs. It just happened that this was something I was good at, and I just kept wanting to pursue it, right? I guess I want to say coincidentally, it came to me, and then from that day on, I just kept pushing, um, and just kept going with it. So
And
unfortunately,
it
I can't
worked. It
say
worked. It
it
worked
worked.
out. It worked
Yeah,
out. You went in fighting. You were like, look, maybe let's try this out. You tried it out, and it in your favor, it worked.
yeah.
And you're doing it now. So shout out to that. What is like out of all those first off, thank you for sharing your journey and stuff like that, and giving us a little bit insight on that. But like when you look back at your journey right now, like talk to me and tell me like what is like one of the proudest achievements that like kind of like got you like out of all this. And I have another question after that, but I want to know about one of those achievements for you.
I mean, I think personally, the biggest achievement for me was graduating college, right? Um, Haitian immigrant, moved here from Haiti. Uh, I think just the fact that I could say I graduated from an American college, right? That I got to walk the stage. My mom was there. She saw me grab my diploma. Just
It's real,
that.
mom.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real.
It's real. It's just, that's a lot of people's dreams, especially because, an American degree at the time I got it anyway was like one of the best things you could have for a job, especially, whether I worked in America or anywhere else. So to me, that was like the biggest achievement just because it was like I made it, right? I did something that a lot of people just dream about and I got a college degree, especially in a field like computer science. So I was very proud of
Mhm.
myself.
Congratulations, man. A lot of people some people would have probably said something in the office, but you're like, if you think about it, mom worked very hard to get you and your brother to a certain
You did.
level, right?
You
And
did. Yes.
sometimes our immigrant families, mom, dad, grandparents, their biggest dream is us just graduating.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about like, are you gonna have a nice house and a car, maybe down the line a family, right? But it's like we just want you to graduate because we
Yeah.
probably didn't have the opportunity. They didn't have the opportunity to get that diploma or that degree or major in something that they could be utilizing right now. So for us, it's like you're right. That is pretty big, right? Because that's something not only you were looking forward to, but a lot of people in your family were looking forward to that too.
Exactly.
And when we talk about that proudest moment, but let's talk about like the next 5 years. Seems like you're a duo over here. You got some things going on. Like in the next 5 years, what are we looking to do? Like anything inspiring goals for you?
I think corporate wise, I want to pivot to a more niche field. Obviously, um, people will say more pay, right? More pay is always great, but I feel like I want I want my work to be more valued in the sense that the more niche fields provide you the opportunity to develop skills that are more in demand, just because you have to learn harder stuff, more difficult, more niche, more specific stuff, and that makes you more valuable as a person. And I want to reach a level in my career where I'm the one being sought out, right? Because obviously you start off your career, you're looking for corporations to apply to, you're looking for jobs, where to work, yada yada. I want to reach a spot in my career where I've developed myself enough that I'm the person people are looking for, right? I'm the person that's being recruited, headhunted, stuff like that. So I want to be at the level with my skills and my professionalism where it's like I get my pick of it, right? That's the next step.
Okay.
I feel like it's you get your pick of where you work.
Mhm.
So that's in 5 years, 5, 10 years, I want to be at the level where it's like either I'm being headhunted or I'm just running my own consulting agency, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'll work for you for like an hour or something like that, right?
It's gonna cost you. It's gonna
Yeah, it'll
cost you.
cost you, but I'll
Of
give you
course.
like an hour of my time today, tomorrow, something like that, right?
Okay, okay. That's big boss status right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, okay. I get you. I get you. The 5 year plan, you're like, look, I just want to be at that level. And you've seen that level,
Yes.
you're like, okay, well, you know what? I want to be there, you know. Carl, thank you. Thank you, man. Your vibe, your energy, your personality. I'm looking forward to obviously interviewing your brother, but thank you for sharing this time and moment to kind of give us a little bit of that insight. I believe in miracles, and I believe that everyone is here for their own reason, right? Everyone has a purpose on this world, and I feel like now you're tapping into it every single day by being that role model, representing the Haitian community, but also being a mentor to a lot of other people. So
Thank you.
kudos to you with your education and now working. I'm looking forward in 5 years to be finding you on LinkedIn, and it says, "Don't talk to me, talk to my assistant."
I'll word it nicer, but for sure it'll be something
Okay,
like
okay, all right,
that.
all right. I'm gonna scroll him like I know him, I know him. But any last words for the listeners?
Um, yeah, last words, give yourself the chance to try, right? So I've known a few people that they'll say they can't do it before even trying, or it's too daunting, or they're too scared. Especially as an immigrant, right? You already have all these mental challenges, mental blocks that you think are gonna try and stop you. So just no matter what you try at, whether it's college, it's your first time going to college, or you're going back, or you're looking for a job, give yourself the chance, right? Never assume it's a no before it's answered. Give yourself the chance, ask the question, attempt the job, attempt the work, right? Give yourself a chance.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, right, if you won't let yourself try it, then no one else will. So give yourself a chance.
It's important. It's important. I
Exactly.
mean, it's if you working that hard, you better give yourself a chance. You know,
Exactly.
give yourself a lot more grace and just believe and have faith that it's going to work
Yep.
out. And it seems that a lot of your journey believes in that. You're like, look, I'm just going to try it out, and look what
Yeah.
happened. You tried out a lot of things, and look where it landed you. It's a nice, real good, big job right here. So
Yeah.
kudos to you, man. Congratulations. And to our listeners, if you want to hear more inspirational stories like Carl, please check us out on ZakaConnect.com. Follow our social at Zaka Connect and follow our feed Zaka wherever you listen to your podcasts.